Coming up in the Bahamas tonight, 4 Abaco residents are dead after a private plane crashed near the Treasure Key Airport this afternoon. We've got the details. Plus, the Free National Movement reconfirms that Howard Johnson is their candidate for Central and South Eleuthera, while the Progressive Liberal Party introduced a new face to a new constituency here in New Providence. We've got the highlights, so hold on to your seats. The Bahamas Tonight Weekend Edition starts in 20 seconds.
Covering the islands of the Bahamas, ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight.
Good evening and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight Weekend Edition. I'm LaDawn Davis. As always, it's great to have you with us. 2 stories from Abaco topping the Bahamas tonight, and it's not good news. First, ZNS News learned that a small plane crashed just off the runway of the Treasure Key International Airport around 1 this afternoon. Sadly, 4 winter residents of Treasure Key died in that crash. The 2 couples reportedly were taking off from the Treasure Key Airport when something went terribly wrong, resulting in the crash at the end of the runway near the highway. ZNS News spoke with the Reverend Charles Carey of Adler's Gate Methodist Church about what he witnessed.
I went there and saw the wreckage of a plane in the bushes about midway between the highway and the northern end of the Treasure Key Airport. That's about 200 feet from the road into the bushes. The information I received was that there were apparently 4 persons on board a private aircraft that was leaving, possibly around 1 o'clock today, and crashed on takeoff. There was a fire, and apparently because there had been bushfires in the area, people at the airport didn't realize that there had been a crash until sometime later. But at the time, police, firemen, rescue people were all at the scene trying to do what they could with the wreckage.
Later, emergency responders, including police, fire volunteers, airport personnel, and other officials, were busy in the bushes trying to extract the 4 bodies from the fiery wreck. When asked about the reported victims, Reverend Carey said this.
From what I gathered, it was 2 couples who had been spending some time at Treasure Key, who are second home owners, believed to be Americans, and they were returning to the United States.
As investigations continue, ZNS News has the names of the 4 victims, but will await until their next of kin have been notified. We'll have more on this story tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. on the ZNS Radio News Morning Report. From the crime beat, Abaco police are questioning 4 men in connection with the death of a 59-year-old man. According to police, it was around 2:30 p.m. Saturday when they learned that a man was reportedly found in the area of the Road Traffic Department office, Crockett Drive and Bay Street. He had a wound to the neck. The Charlie Boo Yard, Duncan Town resident was taken to the Marsh Harbor Clinic, where he later succumbed to his injuries. His death is the country's 28th murder for the year. The Free National Movement has its eyes set on taking the 2 seats in Eleuthera, particularly the Central and South Eleuthera seat, which has gone to the Progressive Liberal Party for the past 2 elections. Last night, the party held a rally on the park in Governor's Harbor following the commissioning of F&M candidate Howard Johnson's headquarters a short distance away. Clint Watson is on the campaign trail.
Central and South Eleuthera residents believe he's carved a place of prominence for the island on the national circuit since his dynamic speech excerpts made the national airwaves. But it's not just a popularity nationwide that has skyrocketed his likability in this area. We're told Howard Johnson has managed to put hope back into the hearts and minds of Eleuthera residents and is winning the support of those who supported the PLP. One such person is his mother, Emily Petty.
It's been a long time coming, and I know a change is gonna come. Whoever thought Emily Petty, stalwart counselor in the PLP, would be wearing red?
Regardless of their political affiliations, Johnson told F&M supporters Saturday night what the people of Eleuthera need now is someone who can motivate them. He says together with the residents, they will restore the island and be great again.
The resilient and persevering spirit in our people will cause us to rise up and live out the true meaning of the creed of freedom. We will once again be free to become the economic powerhouse of this great country. we will once again become free for our young people to believe that they do not have to go to Nassau or any other island to live in opportunity. We are going to believe that on this island we can stay to have educational opportunities for our children.
Johnson also took a jab at his detractors, whom he says have concocted lies against him.
Howard Johnson is born here, he from here, he ain't going nowhere, he can run here, and he can vote here, and all of y'all who talking that foolishness out there, y'all dead scared.
Free National Movement leader Prime Minister Hubert Ingraham says he's proud to present Central and South Eleuthera residents one of their own to continue the legacy in Parliament for more than 44 years, where only Eleutherans represented the island. He cried shame on the PLP for sending a man from Nassau to run in the area. According to the FNM leader, the PLP reportedly never formally spoke to their sitting member of Parliament, Oswald Ingram, before even making the decision.
They've been since Governor's Harbour, Palmetto Point, Rock Sound, and the Deep South, what was left over from the North. Not a bloody day like it. Never, ever, never. They didn't have a good impression of him down north. They told him nothing doing. Now they're trying to repackage him and send to you. You ain't want nothing second hand. You want face out stuff.
Mr. Ingram believes on Election Day residents will reject the PLP and support the FNM. In fact, to solidify this point, he too joined the bandwagon using some pretty famous words.
If anybody tell you that the man from the other party is a better man to represent you than Howard Johnson, you know you've been had.
But wait! You've been bamboozled! Run amok and lied to! Because in the FNM, we deliver!
Clint Watson, ZNS News.
Now, Prime Minister Hubert Ingraham making some major announcements for the island of Eleuthera. We will have that story for you in tomorrow's newscast. Progressive Liberal Party leader Perry Christie slammed Free National Movement leader Prime Minister Hubert Ingraham for exposing a witness involved in the voter planting hearing in North Andros. Mr. Christie was continuing his assault when he referenced the controversial hearing while seeking to convince voters in the newly formed Nassau Village constituency last night that they're better off under a PLP governance. Keishla Adderley has more.
The FNM is headed for rejection at the polls.
And convinced of that conclusion, Perry Christie says the voter planting hearings in North Andros highlight the lows the Prime Minister will go to, exposing the identity of a disputed voter.
The thing about it is this: the voter was acting in a perfectly lawful way. That's what makes it so nasty and so cruel. The Prime Minister should be ashamed of himself for doing that.
But that aside, the Progressive Liberal Party has its sights set on its so-called gold rush. Party leader Perry Christie, staying on message with fighting and deterring crime, dismissed the Prime Minister's doubt over key PLP post-election plans.
We're going to introduce something called violence breakers. These people are outreach workers with street credibility who will be trained in conflict mediation and available all day, all night. We're going to be directly involved in the fight against crime. And hand in hand with those measures, we're going to have a massive new investment in education and training. Because, now listen, Ingram says we can't do it. Well, I want you to listen to me. The PLP says, yes, we can.
And young candidates like Dion Smith have been recruited to make it happen. Making his debut into frontline politics, the young attorney has been busy for months courting voters in the newly formed Nassau Village, the fusion of parts of Seabreeze and Kennedy. And says Mr. Christie, along with his own attributes, Smith has some big shoulders to stand on.
What Sir Lyndon did for me and B.J. Nottage, and for many others, we are doing for this new generation. Preparing the way forward, sharing expertise, and letting them shine. And make no mistake, these new leaders like Dion Smith are not window dressing. They're the real deal. They're going to be the ones to whom our party will be entrusting its future and the future of the Bahamian people.
Keishla Adderley, ZNS News.
The Progressive Liberal Party's Nassau Village candidate Dion Smith said he's also armed with some progressive plans for Nassau Village.
Work relentlessly with the community to create long-term jobs, not just these short-term jobs that we know what will happen after election, and support for small and medium-sized businesses, because I see many persons in Nassau Village that want opportunity, and we are going to make sure under the PLP that we create more entrepreneurs in my constituency. I will also work with my colleagues to double our nation's investment in education and training to ensure that our children are prepared for the opportunities ahead of them. We must prepare our people now for the future.
When we come back, a Long Islander shifted his business strategy and now wants more Bahamians to get involved in the tourism industry, which he believes could bring big bucks. We'll tell you more coming up.